and welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your coach, Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
Folks, we have a fun show lined up for you guys. The World Cup is getting closer, and I'm actually starting to get really excited, man. I mean it in both the literal sense, but also in the feeling sense. This is the closest that the World Cup has ever felt, man. Like, it's becoming real. It is tangible. It's on its way, and it's arriving here next year. Are you getting as excited as me, man?
Oh, 100%, bro. I mean, it's the World Cup. It's like Christmas, but it only happens once every 4 years.
Yeah, man.
I need this World Cup to happen, but we're getting to know so many teams across every single confederation to see who's going to really contend for the title, who might be the dark horses of the tournament. So let's talk ball, man. There was so many games over the last 6 days.
Yes, and we're going to try to recap the major headlines that happen in each region all across the world of football. And I'm so excited. And I just can't really believe that the World Cup is actually happening soon, man. I'm so hyped. And so in true World Cup draw fashion, that's how I want to go about deciding what region we talk about here, because there's some regions in here that we haven't talked about in a good while. Like, you know, the African Federation has not gotten our analysis yet because they haven't played World Cup qualifiers in over a year, man. So OFC also had a lot happen today or in this past week. Let's decide, who do we talk about first? All right, I shook it up as much. Can you please make your selection?
Let's go right. You know, actually, I'm going to take this one.
Okay, and why don't you reveal it to the camera right here?
All right. CONMEBOL.
All right, man. Let's talk CONMEBOL. I think that's actually perfect.
That's actually perfect.
That's just what we finished watching right now was all the CONMEBOL matches. I'm just going to start right up top, going into the headliner of, you could say, the World Cup fixtures. Argentina matching up against Brazil in the Estadio Monumental. Argentina, going into this game, already qualified for the World Cup due to the draw that happened earlier today between Bolivia and Uruguay. So congratulations to Argentina in that sense. They're one of, I think 7 teams now that have qualified to the World Cup. They've made it. They're top of the table right now, and they showcase why, in my opinion, I still have them as the best team in the world, brushing aside this Brazilian team that could not challenge them 4-1, bro. 4-1. I think the last time Argentina put 3 or more goals past Brazil was around 20 years ago. Really?
It was the mid-2000s. It has been that long. Brazil have not beaten Argentina since 2019. That was the last time that 2-0 victory in the semifinals in the Copa America.
Wow.
It's been 6 years since Brazil, who consider themselves to be, you know, the biggest footballing nation in South America, to have beaten Argentina. And just when I thought Brazil were starting to pick up a little bit of momentum, they hadn't lost since their loss in September against Paraguay, they lose 4-1 to Argentina. 4. You look at all of the goals they conceded in this match too, bro. Sloppy, really sloppy defending. And on a personal note, it doesn't look good for my boy Murillo. It doesn't look good. He's had such a good breakout season with Nottingham Forest, but I thought he was at fault for 2 of those 4 goals, and he gets subbed at halftime.
Yeah.
There's a really bad performance, and knowing how harsh the Brazilians are, we might not see him again.
Tough result for Brazil here, but it's also why I give so much credit to Argentina, because going into this match, Brazil was on a 5-game undefeated streak with, you know, matches against Colombia, Uruguay, and there's some quality CONMEBOL teams. It was looking like they're finally starting to turn the page and ask the question, can they defeat an elite opponent, a big name opponent like Argentina? And on the flip side, I think Argentina, who has been asked questions of them ever since they lost to Saudi Arabia at the 2022 World Cup, has always answered in stellar fashion. They've continued that momentum, in my opinion. They continue showing that consistency, that class, that professionalism. Julian Alvarez getting the early goal to just get that 1-0 lead, and then they ultimately just couldn't give that lead back, bro. They were in control the entire time. Brazil tried to get back into it, but Vini, Rafinha couldn't find their form. The defense was just hounding them the entire match. And I think Argentina looks good, getting a massive result here without the greatest player of all time, Lionel Messi, as well.
And with the absence of Messi, we see the presence of Thiago Almada. What a game he had, just being so deadly on that left-hand side. And honestly, he kind of plays like Messi. He diminutive stature. When he gets the ball, he likes to cut inside, be dangerous off the dribble and off the pass. It's kind of weird, honestly. But That's the type of weapons Argentina have at their disposal. When one player's not available, they just have the next guy up and he's a stud. It's ridiculous. Julian Alvarez is in the form of his life. He's going to add to Argentina's attack, which is pretty crazy because a couple of years ago, this was Lautaro Martinez's team to spearhead. Now it's completely Alvarez, and he's not giving that position up.
Yeah.
Beautiful to see realistically, but again, it just adds to that depth that Argentina have. Paredes comes into the fray, always in there with the midfield with Enzo Fernandez and Alexis McAllister. Just the quality that Argentina have with their 11 extended to 18 players. It is the best in the world. We talk a lot about consistency on this podcast. You really think about it, Argentina went undefeated in their last World Cup qualifying campaign for 2022. They go on to win the tournament. They then win the Copa America, and they are topping the table right now going into 2026. This is probably the best international team we've seen in a very long time, since Spain 2010, 2008, 2012. And what we're seeing right now is unprecedented, in my opinion. It's been 5, almost 6 years of total international domination from Argentina.
It's the makings, or if not the existence of a dynasty, man. Like, I think this solidifies it. The consistency, you're right. It's what I think is such a big part of their narrative going into 2026 is, can they actually do you could say the impossible and challenge for a back-to-back World Cup victory? It wouldn't make sense if this Argentina team was the one to pull it off with a guy like Messi being part of the team. Like, that would be crazy for him to have in his legacy. The fact that they're even challenging for it, bro, or the fact that they even have that shot, I think is a ridiculous sign of the heights that this team has been able to achieve. So, yeah, credit to them. I think Argentina has just answered every single question of them. And for Brazil, I mean, I was asking you this question while we were watching the game. I truly cannot remember the last time that they beat a quality opponent, an elite opponent that is of the stature of the great teams of Brazil that we've seen in the past. I can't remember, bro, because you mentioned Copa America 2019 was probably that last time.
That was the last time.
An Argentina team, but I would even argue that the stakes of a Copa America are lower than those compared to a World Cup, man. It's just not the same type of situation. 2022, they couldn't do it. They defeated South Korea in the round of 16, who was good, but not great. And then they lose to Croatia. 2018, they defeat Mexico, who was good, but not great in the round of 16. Then they lose to Belgium. 2014... we know how that ended, bro.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time they beat a quality opponent where they outclassed them on the biggest stage possible. And it just adds to that worry, because what I'm seeing so far isn't the makings of a team that I think will be able to overcome that demon in the big stage.
Dude, they're the USA of South America. And that's a really bad thing, because when I see Brazil play, there's just something missing. And it's not the quality. It's not the skill on paper, the technicality of the players, where they play, where they ply their trade at club level. It's none of those things. For me, it's a focus thing. It's a mentality aspect that they're completely missing. That cutting edge on the pitch where they know when they touch a ball, they're one of the best. It's completely gone. Yeah. The lack of that belief showcases itself perfectly in this match, because realistically, Argentina, Brazil are usually really tight affairs, but this one was a complete blowout. Brazil had zero chance, going down 2-0 within the first 15 minutes. This was a sloppy game, but it's been sloppy for Brazil. This entire qualifying campaign has been sloppy. The mentality is just simply not there. There's no fluidity. You look at the way Argentina played with Almada coming in for his first couple of appearances. He looked like he's been there for 50, 40 games. Yeah. And you look at Vinicius, Rafinha, Rodrigo, all of these class players.
Can't figure it out.
They can't figure it out. And it's just to a point where I think now if you're Brazilian, you're going in similarly with the USA where you're just like, hope we figure it out within a year's time. I think that's all you can do, because every single game, Copa America, World Cup qualifiers, Brazil just are not showing up.
Looking at the rest of CONMEBOL, because ultimately in the grand scheme of World Cup qualifying, Argentina is through and Brazil is going to find a way to qualify.
Well,
they will. I mean,
everybody's going to qualify in South America.
True. No, facts.
Let's point that out right now. 60% of South America goes through automatically, and there's another chance for a 7th team to qualify through playoffs, bro. All of South America gets in.
Your blood pressure gets high, man.
All of South America gets it.
I get you. I'm with you. Actually, let me work with that point then. I think it's very clear who the teams will be that will automatically qualify looking at the table, because there's a gap from the 6th team to the 7th team that's going to the Interconfederation playoff. There is a gap. Technically, that 7th place team could overtake 6th place, but I think it's a big enough gap to where I could confidently say we know who the 6 teams that are going to qualify automatically from CONMEBOL are going to be.
I agree.
So in terms of World Cup qualifying, not many takeaways here from CONMEBOL because it all kind of just stayed the same.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the biggest story is Venezuela overtaking Bolivia and grabbing a hold of that Confederation playoff spot.
Oh, Venezuela finally winning. Mm-hmm. Dude, they had not won since the Copa America.
Damn, man.
They had not won.
Wow.
In 8 matches, it took the 8th game for them to get a victory, bro. Venezuela have gone
against Peru, by the way.
Against Peru.
Man.
Venezuela have been going through it, man. And we saw the heights that they could achieve early on in qualification and at the Copa America. But my God, their form has completely dipped. They get the victory. They're trying to cement themselves back into the fray, maybe getting that playoff spot. And realistically, when you look at the 6 teams above them, I do think Venezuela is not as good as the top 6.
Yeah.
So I think it would make sense that Venezuela gets that playoff spot over Bolivia, over Peru and Chile. I counted out Peru and Chile months ago.
I'm cool with that.
And I don't want to see them anywhere near the World Cup.
Yeah, we're good with that.
So I would be happy to see Venezuela see this out 7th place.
Over Bolivia? You prefer them over Bolivia? That's the question here, man.
It would be fun to see Bolivia.
It'd be fun,
It'd be fun because ever since Copa America for Bolivia, they've been getting some wild results at home, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just tied Uruguay.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. But I mean, we can also talk about Uruguay, who have only won once.
Once?
Once since the Copa America.
Oh, God, man. and you bring up Uruguay, I can bring up Colombia, brother.
Please.
Who is on a terrible run of form right now after reaching incredible heights and excitement at the Copa America with me buying into this Colombian team and what they were selling, bro. It was so exciting, the form of these players, the way that they were all playing, what they've done so far. I mean, I need to check. 4 straight results where they don't win. 3 losses, 1 draw to the great Paraguay today.
Yeah, Colombia is approaching fraudulent, my friend. They're approaching that status because, I mean, I think there was a moment where everybody thought Colombia was the 3rd best team in the world, like right behind Argentina, right behind Spain. And now they're in a situation where they simply cannot win. And it's not just 1, 2, 3 games. It's been 6 games now where they just really can't get a good result. Watching them play, it's really strange because their offense is fine. They're scoring goals in every single match, whether it's Duran, Cordoba, Luis Diaz specifically. Their offense is fine. But defensively, that wall that they once had that made sure their opponent wouldn't get past them and then they could outscore them, it's not there. They're leaking goals left and right, and they're not able to outscore their opponent. So now we're in a situation where Colombia is literally mid. Mm-hmm. They concede just as much as they score, so they're not getting the results that we think that they should deserve. They have to fix the defense. Also, their midfield isn't as strong in possession anymore, so their opponent has a lot of the ball a lot of the time, and Colombia is just in a completely opposite situation than we saw in the summer at the Copa America.
I think what worries me is that I do think a big component of this Colombian team is their momentum, is the energy. I mean, going into Copa America, the fact that they were like 24, 25 games unbeaten, I think was a big part of their identity that kind of gave them that confidence of like, boys, we're on fire right now. Like we can go score 1, 2, 3 goals and then dance our asses off celebrating, and we can have a great time at the Copa America. That's exactly what they did, man. But now I get concerned because I'm like, can they get out of this? Is this a low point that they're reaching in World Cup qualifying, but then hopefully in the build to the World Cup, they can get a few more wins in their place and then kind of build that momentum back once again? That's what I would hope for. I just get scared because I know energy matters a lot to this team. I know that momentum and the way everybody's feeling is really important. And I just think I'm not seeing any positivity around the team as a whole at this moment. Even the fans today, bro, they were standing still the entire match.
Depression for them.
Yeah, bro, it's scary.
Colombia's peaked. It's over. They peaked in the summer of Copa America. And what a peak, though. They made it all the way to the finals.
I guess that is what I was asking. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
But you know who hasn't?
I think that is what I was getting at.
you know who hasn't peaked yet, though? Who's on a beautiful climb right now at the moment?
Colombian?
Paraguay.
Oh.
Paraguay.
Oh, yeah.
The beautiful Paraguay, who are, by the way, undefeated since the Copa America. Good. 8 straight matches without a loss. Good. 8. And they find themselves in a situation where they're now actually above Colombia in the table. And I think it is indicative as to the form of both teams. Watching the game today, Paraguay in Colombia, I think it was really clear the state of both teams. Colombia got 2 very quick goals off of surprise attacks. But Paraguay, once that happened, just kept their focus, got back on the ball, and used their flair players in Miguel Almirón and Julio Enciso to get back into this match. They're a very physical side, and they've showcased that over the last 8 matches. It is what has made them undefeated for 8 straight, bro. And Paraguay is on another level right now. I said a couple of months ago, you know, when you look at the team on paper, it's not really that impressive, though it is a good squad. All that has changed is they understand that together they're very good defensively, and then you throw it up to Enciso and he can score a banger like he did today in Colombia. It's a recipe for success, and it is working at a great rate. Paraguay is so fun to watch because they just use their grit, that work rate, that passion to get them victories. And for me, as a neutral, it gives me hope because they turned their form around so quickly. Dude, they lost all 3 matches at the Copa America. One of those losses was to Costa Rica, no disrespect. But after that, they completely flipped it around. And it gives me hope as a USA fan that we can change our fate just based off of mentality, the way that Paraguay has done, because they've been brilliant for the last several months.
Yeah, I like that. They're becoming a team that the form of the players at the club level doesn't really matter. They put on that Paraguayan jersey and they show out. I mean, what I saw from Enciso today, why haven't we seen that with Ipswich, man? Yeah. It just hasn't been there. Yeah. Why didn't we don't assisting that as well? Like, I'm surprised to see that they're just showing out the moment that the international fixture comes around for them. I like their defense. They have one of the best defenses in all of CONMEBOL. I mean, the second best if you look at goals conceded, or third best, only conceding 9 goals in 14 matches. I get worried about their offense, though, man. 11 goals, which is the lowest in the top 8.
But you have to consider they didn't get formed prior to September. So if they had kept this form, I think they would have had more goals.
Yeah, I think their recipe is just to keep it. I think they're going to keep games a lot more tighter than perhaps like an Uruguay will, for example, or Colombia, man. I think that's the way they're going to win these games.
I don't know about Uruguay anymore either. And we've also noted them. I mean, I just said it also. They only have 1 win in their last 8 matches. Uruguay have completely dipped just like Colombia as well.
No, I'm not saying they're Uruguay. I'm saying their game plan is different from Uruguay's. I think Uruguay relies on a less defensive game plan than Paraguay. I think their defense is one of the best things that Paraguay has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying Uruguay's dipping.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Uruguay's reverting to defense right now because Darwin Núñez has lost complete form. And then when you look at the rest of the players, Maxi Araujo and Facundo Pelistri, it's not working. So Bielsa is just converting his team to be very aggressive and very defensive. It's why Uruguay's just completely dipped. Their offense isn't working anymore. So you'll notice Uruguay being a lot more defensive lately, which I think is going to make for just kind of a disappointing World Cup for Uruguay.
Oh, absolutely. And they should have lost against Bolivia today. Bolivia hit the post, bro, on what would have been a banger of a goal. Few inches to the left, and they lose that game, man. So I think Uruguay looks terrible. Ecuador is basically the last team to talk about here. Second place, 23 points, 5 goals conceded in this entire campaign. They defeat Chile with a 93rd minute winner to continue getting results in what's been a very interesting campaign for the Ecuadorians.
Yeah, I think we've highlighted this campaign. Ecuador's winning their games with defense. We saw at the Copa America, we were expecting a more offensive Ecuador, but instead we actually got a more defensive one, and it worked. They nearly beat Argentina on the knockout stage. They've continued this defensive stature, and it's gotten them second place in CONMEBOL. So at this point, Ecuador, I consider them to be almost like Mexico in the sense that they're just going to absorb a lot of pressure and hit out one time, and that's how they'll get the 3 points. It's worked so far. I don't see why they change it at this point. And when you look at that back line, man, it makes sense. Defense first for Ecuador. Hincapié and Pacho. I mean, 2 elite center backs in Europe. And they just now added to the back line Ordóñez, who's playing for Club Brugge this year.
Wow.
So that back line is one of the best in South America from a club perspective, and it's completely showing out in this CONMEBOL table. So Ecuador, very organized team, and yeah, it's working. Doesn't make for great football, but I mean, Ecuadorians don't care.
Second best thing that CONMEBOL has to offer, I think, at the end of the day, is this Ecuadorian team. I'm interested to see the trajectory because I think they disappointed in tournaments these past 4 years. But granted, going into these tournaments, they've never looked as good as they look now. So I'm interested in the Ecuadorian project, seeing if something actually comes from it. I do get a little scared, though, because Ecuador has a history, I would say, from disappointing at tournaments. I invested a lot of faith in them in 2022. I had them getting out of the group stage. They ultimately ended up disappointing in that sense. I would like to see a different iteration in 2026. The potential's there, though.
I think it's definitely there. The reason why they lost 2022 is they were too confused as to whether to be very attacking or very defensive, and they got caught out mid-game. But I think the identity that they have right now, they're rinsing and repeating it every single game, and they're not losing back-to-back. So I think this is, as you said, the most confident I've seen an Ecuador side going into a World Cup ever.
I think the final question that I want to answer is that question of Venezuela, Bolivia, who gets in? I got Venezuela getting in. And I also prefer Venezuela or Bolivia specifically. I think once Bolivia plays away from home, it's a different side.
Yeah.
We're not going to see that in the USA, Canada, or Mexico. I'm sorry. I have Venezuela going through, and I think they're just slightly the better team compared to Bolivia at the moment. Let's go to our drawing. Where are we going next?
Where are we going next?
Make your pick. People are accusing us of rigging with CONMEBOL being the first one.
Let's see what we got here.
We got second.
Oh, okay. UEFA.
Okay.
Not a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about because we had Nations League action happen with quarterfinal matches. And then we did have some World Cup qualifiers begin for groups with 5 teams in them. There's groups with 4 teams in them that are going to start soon, but not yet. So that's where we're at this moment. So let's talk about takeaways from the Nations League results and then any takeaways you might have from the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, I was thinking let's go through the groups of World Cup qualifiers and just give our immediate reaction. So Group A, I mean, this is going to be Germany's, right?
Yes, next question.
It's that. It really is that simple in Group A. There's just going to be absolutely no question there. Group B, interesting. Sweden, Switzerland, Slovenia, I actually consider them to be all on the same level. So that's going to be a hell of a group with one team not getting through at all and another team just having to settle for a second place playoff position. So that's actually a hell of a group. Sweden, Switzerland, Slovenia. If I had to put it right now, I would do Switzerland as they've always showcased themselves to be a really good 11 on the pitch. Sweden was not at the last World Cup. Do they have something to prove? Obviously, Alexander Isak has been in fine form for Newcastle United this season. Can he take Sweden to a first-place finish? It's open, but I would bet my money on Switzerland to take it.
I'm going Switzerland. I basically agree with everything you just said. Sweden's narrative is super interesting. Alexander Isak, Gyökeres, they have some ballers up top. The team has improved a lot. They're kind of like a Norway type situation, man, where they have big names that are present in the lineup, but can they actually add to being a good, cohesive team? And shout out Kosovo. Shout out my boy Vedat Muriqi, man. I hope he gets a couple goals.
Shout out,
man. Group C, Belarus, Denmark, Greece, and Scotland. Ooh, is Denmark the favorite here?
I think they're slight favorites. I'm going Greece. There's a bit of a resurgence in Greek football, not just at club level with Olympiacos, but at the international stage too. They've actually been in decent form, considering Greece has been very bad for quite some time now, since 2014. There's a resurgence in Greece, and I think they'll be able to take advantage of dipping forms in both Scotland and Denmark.
That's my thing with with Scotland specifically, I would hope that they could become the team to challenge Greece in this situation, but I think they've already peaked in their own way too, man. Back when they defeated Spain and they had these crazy European Cup qualification matchups, what I saw at the Euros was a little disappointing from the Scots, and so I would think that maybe they can get that second place spot, because Denmark, I think, plays a very boring brand of football. Every time I watch them, they do have the quality though, but I'm also on board with the Greece dream here because it's a fresh team. A lot is happening at the league level with teams from Greece winning the Europa Conference League as well. Yeah. They got good talent. I'm down, man. I really am down for something new and potentially getting that first place position. I do think Denmark finishes one way or another in first or second.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Group D, Azerbaijan, France, Iceland, and Ukraine. France just now enduring a penalty shootout against the Croatians and coming out on top.
It's going to be France in this group. That's the thing. Ukraine's always fun. Iceland and Azerbaijan are mid. Yeah, I think this is going to be ultimately an easy group for France. Whether that'll dictate they have a good World Cup or not, I think will remain to be seen, because France has just been weird. They've been weird since the Euros. I don't think they've fully fixed it. The Griezmann position is still completely wide open. Who's going to be that facilitator, that combiner with a striker? Deschamps has a lot to figure out still with France, but I think they will easily top this group.
I think, if anything, the biggest thing to watch is how does France mold themselves in the build-up to the tournament. They need to figure out the right players for certain positions, because at this moment they have an embarrassment of riches. Bro, I was looking at their lineup against Croatia and the players that they have offensively. Desiree Doué, Kylian Mbappé, Ousmane Dembele, Barcola, Kolo Muani. It's ridiculous, but they do need to figure out, kind of in that England sense as well, how to really manage these star-studded teams and bring out the best in each one of these players, because I do think overall that matchup against Croatia was disappointing, considering that they went down into the second leg down 2-0, man. Like, you can't have that type of result if you're a French team looking to win a World Cup and get back on top. So I think that's the biggest story to watch for, is how does France align themselves mentally, physically, and tactically to better prepare themselves for a major World Cup happening here. Group B, we have Bulgaria, Georgia, Spain, and Turkey.
God damn it, man.
Oh my God.
That's so unlucky for Georgia.
Oh, man, I hadn't seen that, dude.
That's so unlucky for Georgia, because, I mean, we saw the type of electric football that they can play at the Euros, man.
Against Turkey specifically,
against
too.
Turkey.
We saw that matchup.
This is so unlucky for them, because I think Georgia can fight for second. But it's going to be a fight, and there's going to be a lot of blood to get that second place spot. Turkey's in good form as well. If anything, unlucky for Turkey too, because Spain's in this group. Spain's topping it, which means Turkey and Georgia are going to have to fight for a playoff spot, man. This is a really, really tough group. Good luck to Bulgaria.
Nations League-wise, just based off what I saw from Spain, Yamal's trying to become the GOAT.
Yeah.
So you got that happening.
Good luck stopping that, man.
You see that goal?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
Dude, this Spanish team, I think we're going to have a hell of a rivalry of Argentina and Spain at this World Cup, man.
Yeah. And
just two almost unstoppable forces. Who's going to be able to actually stop them? I don't know.
And I love that. I feel like it's so clear now going into 2026. It wasn't that clear in 2022.
Yeah, true.
It wasn't, man. I feel like the cream of the crop, Spain and Argentina, both are looking so good. Spain is topping this group. God, that second playoff spot. And what sucks is that it's a playoff spot too, man.
Right, it's not even guaranteed.
It doesn't even guaranteed, man. I would hope Georgia, but after what I enjoy with the Turkish population, I got to give them my vote of confidence. I got Turkey going through because they do have the better team overall, whereas Georgia employs a very good system in place, but they are limited. They are limited in certain positions, especially defensively. It's a little bit more open in my opinion, so I have Turkey getting that second place spot.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm going to be cheering for Georgia, man. For Georgia to get out of this group, maybe even make a playoff spot appearance, that'd be wild.
Likewise, yeah.
It'd be wild. And they have the offense to do it, but as you said, defensively, against Turkey and Spain, it's going to be tough.
Group F, Armenia, Hungary, Ireland, and Portugal. Portugal is topping this group.
Yeah, I mean, this is Portugal's bread and butter, qualification, specifically qualification. They'll probably go undefeated as they usually do, and especially when you have Armenia and Ireland, I think that's going to make the job even easier. Hungary, man. Hungary.
No, they got this. They got this.
I wish Hungary and Georgia could swap places. because Hungary don't deserve to be in a group like this. Not this easy.
They're getting second place pretty easily. Pretty easily here.
Now, Hungary have the heights that Hungary had reached prior to the Euros was ridiculous, but they've completely dipped. Completely dipped.
Group G, Poland, Finland, Lithuania, Netherlands, Malta. The first group we talk about with 5 teams in them. Poland already off to a strong start, 2 wins, 6 points, but the Netherlands have not played yet.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be an interesting battle between the Netherlands and Poland. It'll ultimately come down to those specific matches between the two. I have Netherlands beating Poland in those games. I think Netherlands will take top spot, but Poland comfortably in second.
I agree with that completely. Group H, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, Cyprus, Austria, and San Marino. Austria has not played, but Bosnia and Herzegovina off to a perfect start. 2 wins to now complicate this group, because initially I would have had Australia first, Romania second.
Yeah, same.
Maybe Bosnia gets in the middle of this.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting now if Bosnia show up to play. Austria are in a really interesting position to continue the form that they've set over the last couple of years. If they can play the way they did at the Euros, they should be able to top this group and get themselves an automatic spot at the World Cup. But it's not going to be easy. It's just not going to be easy with the teams in this group. I have Austria getting through, and maybe, I mean, with Bosnia at this start, this is going to be tough for second place. Bosnia and Romania, I think, will duke it out.
Romania lost to Bosnia.
Oh, to Bosnia, that's the thing. Romania were good at the Euros, but we could definitely see some clear limitations with the squad. Maybe Bosnia are on a better trajectory right now. It'd be cool to see them make a World Cup. They're first since 2014.
Group I has Norway, Estonia, Israel, Italy, and Moldova. And this group interests me so much because one of the biggest narratives for me going to the World Cup of 2026 is the status of this Norwegian team. If they don't make it, I'm going to have some filthy things to say about Odegaard and Erling Haaland. Filthy, man. I have to post this somewhere else, not on YouTube, man. I need to see Norway qualify. I just need to see it, whether it's through the playoff path or automatically. It needs to happen. The talent is too good. They need to figure it out. I went through the roster today. They have 4 or 5 guys I would consider very, very good, playing at a high level at big clubs. Ryerson is a good fullback, playing in a Champions League final, for God's sake. Like, it's not like they have bums in the back line, dude. It's a good team. I need to see Norway find a way to get out of this group, because Italy will be there vying for that automatic qualification.
Yeah, it's a great point. Sorloth, Odegaard, Haaland, Ryerson, Ayer, who plays for Brentford.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta at least get as close as you can to World Cup qualification. I say not automatic because Italy is in this group. And on paper and also on the pitch, I think Italy have the better team overall.
Absolutely.
Maybe not the stars, but they have the better team. And I expect Italy to top this group, but Norway has to finish in second, and they will, because I do think the other teams are just very, very weak.
Yeah, today they defeated Israel very convincingly. They're off to 2 great wins.
Yeah.
It looks like they're determined to do that. So this will be a fun group to watch, and maybe that automatic qualification gets close.
Maybe
it gets close, man.
Maybe.
Group J has North Macedonia, Wales, Kazakhstan, Belgium, and Liechtenstein. I can't say this one.
Liechtenstein.
Thank you.
This group's Belgium's. There's absolutely no question about that. But second place is wide open. It is wide open for North Macedonia or Wales to take it. Hell, even Kazakhstan might get somewhat close.
I don't want any of these teams.
Exactly. That's why it's wide open, because they're all just completely under Belgium's level. I would like to see North Macedonia just for variation. It'd be fun to see.
I just wonder if this version of North Macedonia is even as good as the one we saw 4 years ago that knocked out Italy.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm going to say right now, I doubt they are up to that level, but maybe they prove me wrong. I'm just not very excited about the potential second place teams here. Wales had an incredible 2022 run. There's no way they're on that same level without a guy like Gareth Bale, for example. I mean, Kazakhstan.
I wish they were slightly better. I wish Kazakhstan were slightly better. I say North Macedonia because they still do have players like Enes Bardi, Elmas as well. So I'm just going to bank on that being the difference for second place.
Yeah. Group K has England, Albania, Latvia, Serbia, and Andorra. And England, surprisingly, because they weren't involved in the Nations League finals, was able to get 2 victories already in this group. They're going to top it completely. And now the question remains, does Albania secure that second place spot, or does a team like Serbia come back and get it?
Yeah, Tuchel's first matches in charge of this England side. Obviously, Tuchel having a lot to prove, doing so well at club level. Can he now do it for England at the international stage? We saw Morgan Rogers play for England, as Reece James starting at right back as well.
Rashford got to start twice.
Rashford starting on the left-hand side twice. Yeah. So really interesting things off the bat for Tuchel. This group's not going to tell much, though. It's not going to tell much. The toughest team is Serbia. We already know Serbia's defense just is not going to cut it, and their offense isn't that much better. So this is easily going to be England's group. And yeah, just Tuchel just has to hope that the players will understand his tactics come World Cup time.
I'm out on Serbia. I'm done with Serbia. I'm over Serbia. Albania's getting second. They're getting second. Serbia, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. I have nothing to say about them. If you're confused and you're Serbian and you're watching this and you're new to the channel, go back, look up 2022, the Give and Go Serbia. You'll see what I mean. Because I gave y'all I'm not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. Albania, I think, plays more exciting football. I like what I saw at the Euros at their highest. If they can kind of showcase that more consistently, they're going to need to, because Serbia will find a way to get results.
Yes.
Albania does have a shot here, and I'm a big Dua Lipa fan.
Aren't we all, bro? Albania will have a really good chance, but those games against Serbia will be finals.
Yeah.
If they can not even beat Serbia, if they can just tie them or get one win on them, Albania will definitely qualify, but they have to get something against Serbia. I think a loss will be really bad for them, and Serbia will end up in second. I think it's going to be a scrap between those two teams for second.
And the last group of UEFA World Cup qualifiers, Group L, is Czechia, Montenegro, Croatia, Faroe Islands, and Gibraltar. Czech Republic off to a great start, 2 wins, 6 points. But Montenegro as well, 2 wins and 6 points. I got to see who it was against. But 2 wins, 6 points. Croatia yet to play a game.
Yeah, I think Croatia's going to top this group, which, by the way, Croatia, man. They just will not die. And they've always showcased that at the very least, they play beautiful football. From an individual perspective, you bring them together and you get a highly competitive team, even if there are no stars in this side. We've labeled the Croatian narrative as just a new crop of players, a new generation at last times Euros, trying to prove themselves with a bunch of old heads. Now the new team's just completely taking over, and the football's still really good. It's still very good. And I think over Montenegro, over Czechia, Croatia will be able to best them. I don't think it'll be easy per se, but I do have Croatia as the best team in this group. Whether it's Czechia or Montenegro, I need to see Montenegro play. I know Czechia has a good side that we saw at the Euros. I wonder how tight that second place spot will be.
I need to see from Croatia if they're worthy of being considered a quarterfinalist type team once again going into 2026. At the moment, I would say no, but you never know with this team.
You never know.
You really don't know. The experience, the consistency is ridiculous. If going into 2026, they are vying for a deep run, it would not surprise me because of what we've seen this team do. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in this World Cup qualification is can they build that momentum towards potentially doing something incredible once again at the World Cup. That is UEFA's World Cup qualifying situation at the moment. Folks, 16 slots. 16 slots will be allocated from UEFA. I think at the end of the day, man, I'm most interested in that Georgia, Turkey, Spain group. That's the one.
Crazy group.
That's the one. Crazy group. Let us know down below who you have going out of that group specifically, because there's some really interesting storylines at play here. Let's draw, man. Let's draw. Where are we going to next?
Where are we going?
Make your selection.
I hope we're going OFC right here.
Yes. It's rigged.
It's rigged.
Rigged, bro.
OFC.
freaking C gets one international team. One team can make it out of OFC to the World Cup automatically. There is an interconfederation playoff spot available this time around, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand has now qualified for the World Cup. Congratulations. Congratulations. They've done it for the first time since 2010, in large part because they didn't have to play that Interconfederation playoff that was such a tradition for them coming out of the OFC region. Now, instead, because they defeated New Caledonia in the final, New Caledonia enters the Interconfederation playoff with the chance of maybe making a World Cup appearance, man.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine if New Caledonia qualified for the World Cup. And that was kind of the sentiment going into this final, New Zealand against New Caledonia. 100 times out of 100 times, New Zealand's winning this game.
100, bro?
100. It's 100%.
I think so.
But you know what was fun, though? It was 0-0 for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I was so proud. I was so impressed with New Caledonia, who, by the way, due to the political turmoil in their country, those players aren't even really playing football on a regular basis. They just have to set up friendlies just to keep themselves fit. And they show up to the OFC Nations World Cup qualifiers in the fall. They book themselves a place in the semifinals. They beat Tahiti 3-0, and they keep New Zealand to a goalless draw for 60 minutes. I was so happy with their performance overall because for those 60 minutes, honestly, none of it was luck. New Zealand couldn't break down New Caledonia. They did have a lot of the ball, but there were times where New Caledonia would get on the ball and at least stretch New Zealand to some extent. It really wasn't just total domination from New Zealand. They go on to win 3-0. It was expected, but I just want to say I'm so happy and impressed with the performance from the underdogs in New Caledonia. New Zealand do qualify for the World Cup, and it'll be fun to see them because they have such a young team mixed in with some big veterans like Chris Wood going off with Nottingham Forest and Michael Boxall, a Minnesota United defender. This is a good New Zealand team. Probably one of the best that they've had since they made the World Cup back in 2010. There's a lot of European talent mixed into the squad as well. And I think they're trying to prove themselves on the international stage. This is a huge opportunity for this island country.
Yeah, New Zealand goes through, and it's incredible for them. I mean, they're back into the World Cup. I think that's great. I think they suffer from a problem, though, that let's look at CONCACAF, for example. Many people will say that Mexico at their highest dominated CONCACAF, but ultimately didn't face off against an elite opponent, so we didn't have anybody to measure ourselves with, which ultimately showcased itself in those round of 16 matchups that we ended up losing. New Zealand suffers from that same problem, but times 10, man. Because at the end of the day, they don't face any truly competitive teams in the OFC region. I mean, Chris Wood in 5 games had 9 goals, bro.
Yeah.
9 goals. They went off, man. Did they even concede at any point? I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Maybe 1 goal, but
maybe
New Zealand just completely dominates this region. And at the end of the day, they're just going to look towards friendlies to maybe get a clear indication of where they match up against better teams. But that's the unfortunate part. I wish they had more competitive matches in the build to the World Cup because that just helps so much more with preparation. And they're going to go into the World Cup with some tough tests right off the bat that I would hope to see them overcome. So that is a problem that they face. Let's see if they can overcome it.
Yeah, I highlighted it during the OFC Nations Cup reactions that we did during the summer. It's interesting for New Zealand because they have an automatic spot, basically.
Yeah.
Every single World Cup, if they just show up, they will go to the World Cup.
Well, to the playoff, yeah.
No, they'll go.
In the past.
No, I mean now.
Well, now, absolutely. Now, yeah.
So it's an opportunity that you just can't pass up. Australia left the UFC after they defeated an island team 31-0.
Jesus Christ.
And so, but now you see Australia work for their World Cup spots. New Zealand shouldn't want to do that now because they have an automatic spot. I just don't think you can pass that up. What's interesting now is if you tell New Caledonia, Tahiti, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, if you say, hey, there's an automatic spot up for grabs now. Develop your players. You can just win, 5 games. If you win 5 games, not even win, just because 3 of them are group stage. If you win 2 knockout stage games, you can go to the World Cup. I think there's room over the next 10, 12 years to really develop the other island countries and just tell them, like, look, you are 5 games away from a World Cup. That's actually pretty insane. It's the quickest path of any side in all of qualification. So I think maybe with that incentive, there can be opponents for New Zealand, because New Zealand ain't leaving the OFC, bro. They ain't leaving. But yeah, it's definitely a problem for them. It just comes down to friendlies.
Yeah, and then also I was looking at the Interconfederation playoff, and it's also different this time. Whereas in the past it was like one-off matches or maybe two-leg matches. It's more of a bracket now.
Yeah.
And that's super interesting, man. I think that's kind of fun for a neutral viewer like myself, but for these teams, they're going to go through a lot. If you go to the Interconfederation playoff, you're going to go through a lot to even get there. Like, especially those Asian teams, we'll talk about it.
Oh,
we're talking about like maybe at the end of the day, 6-7 rounds of football to make it to the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. New Zealand is through. New Caledonia is not out, though. They're not. They have a shot, man. So congratulations to both teams. Let's see where they end up, and let's see where we go next, man, with only 3 confederations left. Make your pick.
What do you want?
Take me to CONCACAF. Let's do CONCACAF. Yeah, take me home. I'm going to go home, man.
AFC.
AFC. Our second home.
Our second home, man.
Our second home, man. And it's
good to be back.
Good to be back, because the news that I bring you folks is that not one but 2 teams have officially qualified from the AFC region. Let me congratulate them. Japan has qualified. Japan is through to the World Cup.
Japan, baby.
So happy. I think they'll be a great watch at the World Cup. And secondly, today, Iran qualified automatically after drawing against Uzbekistan. Iran is through. Iran is through. Congratulations. Big moment. Iran is back at the World Cup. These are 2 teams that I think have become a routine expectation of what to see from Asia at the World Cup. So congratulations to both of them. But we did have 2 rounds of football happen in Asia. Big, major rounds, as now all these teams sit at 8 games played out of 10. What were the biggest takeaways, my friend?
I mean, let's start with Japan's group. And Japan specifically, 24 goals scored, 2 goals conceded. That's it. A 22-plus goal differential, total domination. And they booked themselves a spot to the World Cup. Here's what's interesting about Japan, though. We said at the beginning of this World Cup campaign that they weren't really going to be tested. Saudi Arabia have completely dipped in form. So have Australia, by the way. You look at the other teams in their group, and they are teams that have never proved themselves at this stage. Bahrain, China, and Indonesia. And so it was almost set for Japan to dominate. We saw the performance a year ago at the AFC Asian Cup, and it was very underwhelming. And I'll be honest, man, even in this group, I've been a little underwhelmed at times with Japan. In the sense that when they do face the tight teams in Australia and Saudi Arabia, they don't really dominate them. It's actually really tight. And if anything, there's been a couple of draws that go Japan's way against these tighter opponents. And my worry is, in 2022, we saw Japan really light up the stage, showcase themselves against Spain, against Germany, and even have a really good knockout stage appearance. They fail miserably at the AFC Asian Cup. And with these tight results against Saudi Arabia and Australia, I'm now worried that when Japan do play against a very good team at the World Cup, they're not going to have what it takes to actually overcome that challenge. And so I just think that this qualification numbers are a little bit misleading when it comes to Japan's actual form. They're a very good side. They're the best in Asia. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I just think Japan aren't any better than they were 3 years ago.
Yeah, here's how I interpret the information. They're getting cocky. I think they're getting cocky. Today, going into the Australian match, they were already qualified through to the World Cup, and we saw half the team get subbed off at halftime, man. Like, they're getting very cocky. I think they've ran themselves this entire tournament as very clearly, knowingly, the best team in Asia, knowing that they're going to get by. From one perspective, I understand that cockiness, the comfort that they have in this region, because they ultimately have that. But I mean, Argentina was qualified going into the Argentina-Brazil game, and they showed out.
Right.
So I understand your criticism.
That's my point.
You have to take advantage of these games, bro. You have to take advantage of competitive matches, no matter who it's against, and go all out. I mean, we jokingly brought up at the beginning of their campaign, do they score over or under 35 goals? It was because they started off with that fire, with that want, that motivation. They're not going to get there in 2 games. They're 11 goals behind now from that mark. And it does worry me because I want good things for this Japanese team. But I do feel that same sentiment, that same anxiety is there, because I don't think they're approaching these games the right way, with the right mentality that the big major teams in world football do. And that worries me. So all I can say is that, or all I can hope for is that, that cockiness shows itself at the World Cup, and they maybe show us why they were so confident in the group stages of the World Cup qualifiers, why they were so confident they would be able to overcome these big teams. They show us that on the biggest stage. Otherwise, I'm going to look back at this as a sign of what was to come, which was ultimately disappointment if they don't show out at the World Cup. Staying in the same group, I'll just talk about Australia real quick. Since Popovich came in, they're undefeated.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest note. It's why I look for coaching changes with the USA, man. Because the quickest way to change is through the coach. And we've seen it work beautifully for Australia. And not only have they been undefeated, I do think they've actually been getting better every single game. I just think the players like Popovich's approach to the game. It's a little bit quicker, not as conservative as it was under the previous coach. There's still a very physical side, but I just see a little bit more flow with this Australian side. And I think with that just comes a bit more confidence with themselves. So I think Australia have really found that rhythm under Popovich. And I think now comfortably, I do see Australia qualifying automatically in that second place spot.
I have confidence in them now. That, I think from the Australian perspective, that was a worry with like the first 3 games. They're playing weird football, man.
Yeah.
Weird. Popovich comes in, and I think what I've seen from him so far is a more confident approach of playing football with this Australian team, and it's showing in the results. So I think they're going to qualify automatically, despite only being 3 points above Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia has been very disappointing this entire run. Australia is going through automatically. Let's talk Indonesia.
Please, man.
Let's talk Indonesia, man. Because they've been a wild ride of emotions ever since we started covering them. Starting off the international window with a loss to Australia, man.
A big one.
A big one.
A big loss, bro. 5-1. 5-1. And immediately, I was thinking coaching change. Because Shin Tae-yong did not deserve to be let go.
Right.
But I said, you know what? It's Australia, who are in great form. Let me see one more game. Let me see one more game under Kluivert at home in Indonesia, hosting a team that you should be able to beat in Bahrain. Let me see that game. And our questions were answered because they dominated Bahrain.
They could have won 2-0, 3-0. Marcelino knew how to square the ball, bro.
I know.
Oh, my God.
I know, man.
If he just squares that ball over, they win this game 2-0, 3-0. Easily, bro, because this was a big game going in. If you're looking at the table, they were tied on points. Bahrain had defeated Indonesia at home after a controversial ending, so Indonesia needed to get those 3 points back. And yeah, I agree. From what I saw today, it was very impressive from Indonesia, ultimately dominating this Bahrain side and showcasing that they were the better team with some great offensive opportunities. And what was the name of the striker, man? Because it wasn't Stroik. It was
bootleg Martin Odegaard. Terhar Ramani, man.
Ramani, man. Yeah, good goal.
Great goal.
Yeah.
Great finish. And he was actually fantastic this entire window for Indonesia. He has really come in for a strike. I think he's the better player. He's been a great addition to this side because now you have Ramani up top, Ferdinand in kind of like a drift secondary position, and then Orat Mangwin as an out-and-out winger. The front 3 of Indonesia, I think, is complete now.
Good, and that's big because we mentioned that their defense is good enough for teams of Bahrain's level.
Yes,
it's good enough. And Justin Hubner, Idzes, Ramadani, they all did great today. Shout out Martin Paez, FC Dallas' very own.
Yes, sir.
But the offense, we've been trying to figure that out. It's been exciting at times, but it hasn't been truly consistent. I still wish they could have finished those opportunities, man, because this game could have been put away.
Yeah.
And they just kept it tight. They kept it tight. But regardless, man, it's 3 major points here. Does it solidify for them progress into the next round in that 4th or 3rd place spot?
Their next match is against China. That's the final. That's a World Cup final for Indonesia. It's in Indonesia as well. If they win that game, I say it's secured 100%. The last game will not matter, no matter what. Even if they draw that game, I actually think they'll have a very good chance to go through. But if China steal this from Indonesia,
They beat them already, man.
it's over. That's the thing. And what's crazy is that China will have big incentive because China have the easiest schedule remaining. If China beat Indonesia, then they play Bahrain to finish.
Right.
And China can beat Bahrain.
They win both games, they're through.
They're through. And Indonesia will be out. So I see Saudi Arabia, for as bad as they've been, I see them finishing in the playoff position. So Indonesia are in a final against China. But, dude, it's crazy that China actually have just as good a chance as Indonesia because Indonesia is losing against Japan in that last match.
That's the problem.
So they're maxed out with the 3 points that they can gain from China. That's it. They're not going to beat Japan. So Indonesia have to beat China. If they do that, though, they're through. They're through the next round.
Is that a big indication of, would it have a big impact on what you think of Kluivert if he beats China here?
Yeah, I think it would have a huge impact. This is a must-win situation for Indonesia. I mean, I don't even think they've ever had a situation like this in their entirety of their nation's existence. The players are going to go through what no other Indonesian player has ever gone through before. This is why
you bring me nervous, bro. You're making me nervous.
This is why you bring in Kluivert, because supposedly he has the experience, right? Which he does.
No.
Does he have it at a coaching level? We're going to see in that match against China.
Indonesians, I already know you guys are watching the video, and I want to know y'all's thoughts. How do you feel about the Indonesian squad? The next 2 games remaining, this is the highest stakes that have ever existed for an Indonesian national team. They have the chance of going to the World Cup or at least progressing to the next round in Asia. It's there. This is all you could have wanted. Close it out against China, man.
Imagine if China just... Imagine they've been bottom of the table the entire time, and then they just finish the group with 2 wins, and they go through to the next round.
That'd be peak AFC. That would be peak AFC right there.
It really would. It really would.
They got good fans,
bro.
man. They got good fans.
Great fans.
Group B. Let's move on up. Group B. Major takeaways, because it does look, although they haven't qualified automatically yet, it does look like South Korea will top the group. But we did have some action regarding that 2nd and 3rd place spot with Jordan overtaking Iraq after Iraq lost today to Palestine, who won their first game. Congratulations to them. Scenes for Palestine as they defeat
Big for Palestine.
As they defeat Iraq 2-1 in the final minutes. And Iraq loses a bad game here that could cost them automatic qualification.
Yeah, and it really costly for Iraq. Jordan, on the other hand, having a great window, beating Palestine, and then tying South Korea. So that's the biggest point I want to make here is I think Jordan are in the driver's seat now. Yeah. They're in the driver's seat to take automatic qualification. They play Iraq, not in the next game, but in the last game. Now, here's the thing, though. Iraq have to play South Korea. There's no way Iraq's beating Korea.
Not this version of Iraq, right?
Not this version. So I really do think that last game won't matter. Jordan's through. They just got to win their next game against Oman. Tough, but doable. Jordan win that next game. Iraq lose their next game against Korea. Done. Jordan through with Korea.
I think I'm cool with it, though, because when you look at the performances, I watch these Iraq games always wanting more, man.
Yeah.
I always want more from what I saw, the magic I saw at the Asian Cup. I'm just like, do that again. Showcase that same magic again. They've done enough in 3 matches to get the result, to get the victory. But then 3 draws, man, and then 2 losses today, specifically against Palestine, who I do think is just such a clearly weaker team. They need to handle these type of teams. They couldn't do it. I worry, man. I worry about this Iraq team and what version we would see if they were to automatically qualify at the World Cup. Whereas Jordan, I think, is on just really good pace, really good momentum right now, good form. I love what I'm seeing from them, regardless of the coaching change that happened earlier in the season. Jordan, I think, is deserving of the automatic qualification spot now after 8 games played alongside South Korea. Iraq, I need to see more, and hopefully in these last 2 games they can pick it up.
Hey, Iraq are like Colombia in the sense that they may have peaked at the international tournament, the AFC Asian Cup, because since then it has been a steady but slow decline for Iraq, man. They're still a good team, but you want more. You want more, and you look at their goal differential. 8 goals scored, not a lot, but maybe clinical, but 7 goals conceded. Their whole point was supposed to be that they're very good defensively, and then they hit you out with their striker. But it's not working anymore. So I think the table is very reflective of what the reality is. Jordan's offense overall is better than what Iraq have to give. Now, obviously, it's not over, because Oman can be tricky, and Jordan cannot get complacent. If they get complacent, then they're going to see themselves in a final against Iraq on that last match day.
Yeah, I see Oman scheduled to face off against Jordan. They get a result there. They then face off against Palestine.
Yeah.
If you're an Oman fan, the chance is there.
The chance is there. But, and not only Oman, dude, Palestine. Palestine play Kuwait next. If Palestine win, they would have 9 points.
Wow.
And then they get to play Oman to finish.
They play Oman last, dude. That's crazy.
They maybe not automatically qualify, but they could go to the next round and have a really good chance to qualify for the World Cup. So Palestine's still fighting.
Oh, man.
Palestine's still fighting.
This group is crazy.
This group's crazy.
I love it. I love it. Folks, let us know. What do you think will happen in Group B of the AFC region? Because this group is ridiculous.
Very quickly, though, I'm not excited about Japan. I'm not excited about Korea. I just want to point that out. They do top the group, but almost the exact same analysis I have for Korea is what I had for Japan, man. I think we're not going to see a better Korea from what we saw 3-4 years ago at the World Cup. Now, what's interesting is, on paper, their offense is better than what it was a couple of years ago. Lee Jae-sung going off in the Bundesliga. Lee Kang-in, though he's not playing a lot anymore for PSG, he was still in the system and he still gets minutes. And when he does play for Korea, he's a beast. Obviously, you still have Son Heung-min, a legend of Korea, still spearheading this offense. There's really good players. Their midfield's very fluid. So their offense is better, but their defense is way worse. So it's basically balanced itself out to where they're the exact same team from a result perspective to where they were in 2022. And that Korea in 2022 was feisty, but they couldn't beat a real challenger team. And that's why I'm just also disappointed in Korea, because they had such a good opportunity this cycle to figure out their flaws. They couldn't figure it out, man. Their defense is still so leaky. They've conceded more than double the goals they conceded compared to the 2022 qualification cycle. And I think that's been their biggest problem, is defense. It hasn't gone away. Also, another thing, dude, they've drawn half of their games. They've drawn half of their games. Yeah. If you're an elite team, you shouldn't be drawing half your games, man. So I just think for Korea, like, yes, they're a good team. They're one of the best in Asia. But come time to play against a South American side, a good African side, a good European side, Korea ain't winning.
Lastly, Group A has some headlines here. Obviously, Iran has qualified automatically. You have the story of Uzbekistan, who, although they have not done it automatically yet, I would say it's looking very likely.
Looking very good,
Very, very likely. Qatar and their downfall, their struggles continue.
Qatar's
win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. The end of North Korea's footballing experience here.
Yeah.
Falling a little flat ultimately in what was an exciting team at times. And then Kyrgyzstan getting the result against Qatar most recently. UAE right there with 13 points. Some big headlines here, but congrats to Iran. Uzbekistan, though, baby. I think they're going to do it.
I think they're going to do it. And I'm so happy. My biggest worry with Uzbekistan all those games ago when this qualifying campaign started is, can they do it just on a month-to-month basis? And they've proved it. They've proved it, bro. I'm so impressed. They've faced Iran twice. They haven't lost to them. They've drawn them both times. If you consider Iran to be an elite side in Asia, which they are, Uzbekistan's not losing to that team. I think that's huge. And they proved it today, where they were the better team in the first half in Iran. They get the lead early. They hold it. Iran do fight back, but so do Uzbekistan. And it took Iran a lot in the second half to get that equalizing goal to make it 2-2. Uzbekistan is the real deal. It's so good to see. Really interesting situation with Uzbekistan. Their coach Katanec, the Slovenian, he resigned in January due to health problems.
Damn.
So they had to figure out a quick coaching solution. They ended up going with the Olympic coach who is in charge of Uzbekistan in the fall. He takes over Tibor Kapadze, but the unity of this Uzbek side is what's really powerful. It's what really showcases itself when they play. They're such a good team together, and it doesn't matter whether they're playing Iran, UAE, or Qatar. They always compete. I'm so proud of this Uzbek side, man, because they are one draw away from qualifying automatically to the World Cup.
And it's their next game is away at UAE. I love that narrative of stealing a World Cup automatic qualifying spot at your opponent's house, man. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to earn that qualification in that match by defeating UAE. And we will see Uzbekistan in California, bro. We'll see them in Houston. We'll see these boys in New York, bro.
It's insane.
Crazy. They're coming to our home ground, and they're going to ball out because I think they do provide a very exciting story and path for one of these lesser talked about World Cup teams. On the other hand, you got teams like Qatar struggling, man, as they lost 3-1 today to Kyrgyzstan, barely hanging on to that fourth place spot. They will ultimately hang on to it, I believe. But what a concerning sight for the defending Asian Cup champions.
Yeah, I think Qatar are very similar to Saudi Arabia in the sense that it's just so disappointing. You never know what you're going to get result-wise. Qatar themselves can't figure out any sort of consistency between themselves, which is crazy considering that they just won the AFC Asian Cup with the same set of players, the same coaching staff. And now they're in a situation where they're barely in fourth place, man. Barely going to go to the next round. That's the saving grace, though, is that I do think they'll be able to pull off a fourth round appearance. And then from there, maybe they can reset because it's another mini group stage. So it's not all lost for Qatar, but man, it's disappointing considering the heights they reached a year ago.
Am I getting ahead of myself here, though? Because Kyrgyzstan faces off against North Korea and UAE, whereas Qatar faces off against Uzbekistan and Iran.
Yeah, no, well,
is there...
Kyrgyzstan will beat North Korea, so they'll finish with 9 points. Let's say that, right?
Let's say that.
But does Kyrgyzstan beat Uzbekistan?
They play UAE.
Oh, sorry. Does
UAE after they would technically lose to Uzbekistan in my mind.
Right.
A beat down UAE side, I would say.
But I still have UAE better than Kyrgyzstan no matter what.
I'm just saying, like today, red card.
Red card.
Things happen. Obviously, on paper, I think UAE is a better team, but there's that chance. One game you're talking about, 90 minutes where they have that shot, whereas Qatar faces off against Iran and Uzbekistan, who want to continue their great form. Maybe.
I just wish Kyrgyzstan didn't have to play UAE to finish.
I just wish they were better, bro.
Yeah,
because that's the thing.
Dude, if they were just a little better.
Yeah.
Not even that much. If they were just a little better, they would be over Qatar.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part.
And the North Korea dream ends here, man.
It does. It does. Yeah. I think they had a good first 3 games. After that, it just went downhill from there.
Yes, and in AFC, man, I was looking at the qualifying rounds. It's crazy. There's the following 4th round for the teams that finish in 3rd and 4th. Then I saw from that the top team qualifies automatically or ends up going to a semifinal or something like that, man?
The top team in each group, there's 2 groups after this, qualify automatically. So that means Indonesia can still qualify automatically in the next phase.
But then if you finish 2nd, there's still a playoff.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
If you finish 2nd, you go into a playoff final. The winner of that goes to the Interconfederation
which
playoffs.
is then like 2 more rounds, bro. That's ridiculous what a team like Oman might go through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. They're putting them in a ringer, man.
That's AFC right there. Let's move on to the next 2 confederations. We got 2 to pick from here. I mean, these are the final 2. It's between CAF and CONCACAF. Where are we going?
CAF.
Damn. The time has finally arrived for the give and go to talk African football.
Let's do it, man.
And we've got a lot to talk about as Africa will be providing us with 9 teams at the World Cup, my friend. 9 teams. And I think it could make for some very interesting storylines, for some dark horses potentially. There are some very good teams. There are some very mediocre teams. There are some terrible teams. And there are some crazy things happening right now in World Cup qualification. with big names potentially being out.
Yeah, starting with Group A action, I'm just going to say it right now. Egypt's definitely topping this group. They have a 5-point lead against Burkina Faso, who I did see play against Guinea-Bissau this weekend, just to see if Burkina Faso could contend against Egypt. Faso's a good team, and I hope they somehow get very close to World Cup qualification, but Egypt's just better than all of these teams, man. Egypt is better than all these teams. And what makes me excited about Egypt specifically is in years past, Egypt has always been a very good defensive team. It is what has gotten them to finals against Senegal, for example. You add in the fact that you have Mohamed Salah up top, and it made them a very interesting side. But now when I look at them offensively, there's just more quality, man. You have Zizou underneath Mohamed Salah. You have Mustafa Mohamed up top. He's a solid striker. But now on the other side, bro, Omar Marmoush. That's who you have on the other side. And then you still have the defensive stalwarts of El Shenawi and Abdul Monem. So this Egypt side has only gotten stronger, in my opinion. They had a weird World Cup appearance in 2018, and I think they're here for vengeance in 2026, bro. I think this is going to be Egypt's actual appearance at the World Cup with a healthy Mohamed Salah, an informed Mohamed Salah, by the way, because it doesn't look like he's going to be slowing down. This Egypt side is here to compete at the World Cup. They're definitely topping this group.
That's a good point, man, because 2018 was a disappointing experience for them. 2022, they couldn't make it. They lost in the playoff. Yeah, I want to see Egypt at their best.
Yeah.
At their best. And I like Zizou, man. I think every international team should have a player like Zizou, man. He just improves the team so much. He's a custodian. He does a little bit of everything, man. He's so talented, and everybody knows Marmoush and Salah. I think the team is looking very, very good. Group B is where going into today, we had a big headline with Senegal outside of the top two. Now, after today's result, they enter the top two in second place, but still, they're behind the DR Congo, who made it all the way to the playoffs of Africa's region and the build to the World Cup, but ultimately lost. But they got close, bro. They got close to qualifying for the World Cup in 2022.
I have Congo topping this group too, bro. I have the Democratic Republic of Congo topping over Senegal. And surprisingly, by the way, Sudan's right there. Mm-hmm. Sudan is right there. Shouldn't be any surprise, as when you look at Sudanese club football, Al Hilal, Al Mariq are always very good in the Champions League. Al Hilal are actually in the quarterfinals right now in the CAF Champions League. So Sudanese footballers underrated in my opinion. But I do have the DR Congo going through. I just think they have slightly better offensive players than Senegal right now, specifically Bakambu, Cedric Bakambu. You have Elia, Arthur Maswaku in the fullback position providing threat. I just think the DR Congo are a more offensively threatening team, whereas Senegal, honestly, I think since the World Cup, or I guess, since winning the Cup of Nations, that was their peak. And since that time, I just think Senegal have slowly been declining. They're still a good team because they still have fantastic players. But I just think it's time for a more resurgent, a more exciting team to take it. And I think DR Congo is going to be that team.
Their biggest test is coming the next window, man. They face off against Senegal and Sudan back to back. They got to prove it to me there, because I still feel that Senegal's creeping their way back in, man. And they haven't lost, dude. They haven't lost.
True.
I just feel like there is that experiential factor for Senegal that might play a role here. But if DR Congo shows out in those two games, then I'm on board. Sudan, though, is at 12 points at the moment, too, man.
Bro,
so this is an unfortunate situation of three good teams vying for two spots, man.
Yeah.
And that's pretty rare in this version of qualifying to see three teams, because usually that third team is a big drop off from the second place team. Sudan is trying their absolute best, as they are also undefeated and only behind Senegal due to goal difference.
What's also really harsh about CAF qualification is there's 9 groups, right? But only the 4 best runner-up go through.
Oh yeah, I saw that, dude.
So even if you finish second, you have less than a 50% chance of going through.
Yeah, it's harsh, man.
It's harsh.
Group C, we have South Africa in first place by a good margin, 5 points.
Yeah.
With a 5-point lead over second place, Rwanda, who, by what you just described, would not be qualifying through due to that low amount of points.
Yeah.
But South Africa, with Percy Tau still in the mix and a Ballon d'Or nominated goalkeeper in their back line, is this a new resurgence that we're seeing with South Africa, bro?
I saw South Africa play today against Benin because I needed to see. I need to see with my own eyes how good this team really is. And I will say this is the best South African side since 2010.
Yeah.
They've been so poor at Africa Cup of Nations when they do make it. And finally, the game that I saw today against Benin, they were so threatening offensively, constantly getting in their opponent's box, constantly being threatening on the wings specifically. And I just haven't seen that from South Africa pretty much ever. So this team is the real deal. And the only thing is that I think this group is very easy. When you look at Rwanda and Benin as the next best sides, I just don't think South Africa would be doing as well if they had Senegal and Sudan in their group, for example. So I just think, yeah, it's a product of the group that they're in. They are the best team in this group, but this group is weak. And you know what's surprising about that, brother?
Lesotho's in it.
Nigeria's in it.
Zimbabwe.
Nigeria. And let me.
I don't even want to talk about Nigeria.
No, I know.
Team, I can't believe this.
Let me just tell you some names.
I can't believe
Let me just tell you some names, bro. All right, Ola Aina, Nottingham Forest.
Ooh, baller.
Nottingham Forest baller. Iwobi, so good.
Classic.
Great footballer. Let me throw some bigger names at you.
What else you got? Yeah.
Samuel Chukwueze, a great penetrator.
It's a joke,
fantastic
man.
dribble penetrator.
Joke of a player.
You have Victor Osimhen.
Come on, bro.
Ademola Lookman. Lookman.
Wow.
One of the best attackers in Europe right now.
Damn, man.
And then you have Victor Boniface coming off the bench. And they tie Zimbabwe 1-1.
Yeah.
And not only that,
You know, run through it.
they're in fourth place.
Fourth, bro. Fourth.
They're in fourth place.
7 measly points. 1 win, 4 draws.
1 win.
Let me do this.
This is sad, bro. We talk about like the situation of the USA. This is worse.
Yeah. Moses Simon, shame on you. Victor Osimhen, shame on you.
Shame, bro.
Ademola Lookman, shame on you. Ndidi, shame on you, man. That should be an experiential midfielder right there. Are you kidding me? Calvin Bassey? Shame on you, my friend. Aina Chukwueze, yeah. I can't believe this, bro. This is shameful. This is so disappointing. And I would like to know what Nigerians think.
Dude.
If any Nigerians are watching this, what do you think? What frustration do you have with this team? Because it's now back-to-back times, bro. That's the problem here, is that this happened 4 years ago. And this is a Nigerian team, or rather a Nigerian country, that at one point I became accustomed to seeing every World Cup representing Africa's best, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I will never forget the matchup against Argentina, man. Like, they were such a big part of the World Cup, and now they're struggling to not just get in it, but to even compete, bro.
Yeah.
And it's not like they fell off talent-wise. The talent's there. This might be the worst team in the world when you compare the talent levels to the performances that we're seeing. Worse than Colombia, worse than USA,
straight up.
worse than these type of teams, bro. Nigeria is absolutely disappointing right now.
Yeah, and it's so disappointing. And that's why I just want to highlight South Africa's little resurgence here, because they don't have anywhere near the players of Nigeria, yet they have 13 points, 10 goals scored, 5 goals conceded. That's really good. That's a team right there. Nigeria, they have some of Africa's best players. Put them together, though, and you get a failing product. So disappointing.
Group D has a battle right now between Cape Verde and Cameroon, with Cape Verde having the edge right now with a 1-point lead. 13 points total, 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Are we going to see Cape Verde at the World Cup, man?
Dude, I hope.
I've never seen them.
Look, I hope. I've been such a big fan of Cape Verde for the last 10 years. They're a small island nation of Portuguese influence, and they just have some fun players, just in general, man. And they've always come short. They've always pulled short. But now they top the group, but only by 1 point. That game against Cameroon is going to be the final for them. If they can beat them, then I do think they go through. But here's the thing. I think Cameroon's going to win that game.
They got some sneaky ballers, man.
I just think Cameroon's going to win that game.
No.
And maybe Cape Verde go through, as a really good second place team, but I think Cameroon will somehow pull out on top because, as you just said, sneaky football is Cameroon may not have the stars, but you look all around the pitch, there's some really good players on this side. They just beat Libya 3-1. I think Cameroon are just going to ultimately end out on top.
Yeah, I don't think Mbeumo's going to let Cape Verde automatically qualify on his watch, man. He's going to personally take to that. I think he balls out in that match. You got Abu Bakar getting a brace in the most recent game. Onana in that back line. Tolo in that left back position. Yeah. There is good quality in this Cameroon team. It's sneaky because I didn't really expect it when I clicked on the flag and saw the players, but they got talent, man. They really do, and it makes sense that they're competing for that automatic qualification spot. But you're right, Cape Verde has a chance here to make a statement to show that they deserve first place, and I think if they beat Cameroon, that would do wonders for their mentality going forward. And it's possible, bro. We might have a Cinderella type story here with Cape Verde getting to the World Cup in 2026. Group E has an interesting situation at hand with one team playing 5 games, 3 teams playing 4 games, and 1 team playing 3. So it's very mismatched at the moment.
Yeah, it's because Congo just got disqualified.
Okay. Well, we have Morocco in first, and I think that's not going to change. 5 straight wins out of 5 games, 15 points. A Moroccan team that when you look at their lineup has arguably a deeper squad than what we saw in 2022. Has wingers resurging with ballers, Brahim Diaz and Ezatulaki on both sides in the series in the middle. A little bit of a different iteration than what we saw 4 years ago, but still quality at hand that can definitely provide or do something special at the World Cup. They're showcasing it so far in what ultimately is a pretty easy group for them, taking care of business and getting first place.
Yeah, I see this as the easiest group out of the entire Africa qualification. Morocco doing exactly what they should, win every single game. They shouldn't drop a single point. They haven't done so. So good for Morocco. Just move on, keep winning. On paper, Morocco will have one of the best teams in Africa represent at the World Cup. So they just got to keep chugging along. Just keep chugging.
Group F has Ivory Coast in first with 16 points. Gabon in second with 15 points. Burundi in third with 10. Quite the active group here, man.
Yeah. I would love to see Gabon qualify because honestly, kind of like Cape Verde, Gabon have had some fun AFCON appearances. And obviously you look at the players they've had in the past, like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They have Denis Bouanga now. There's some really fun players on this Gabonese side. Problem is they have to beat the Ivory Coast in this next window. And the Ivory Coast have not conceded a single goal. And I just don't see that changing. I think the Ivory Coast will at least draw Gabon, and Ivory Coast will finish on top. Maybe Gabon go through in second.
That'd still be really good, though, because they do have the points to go through in second confidently, I would say.
Yeah, true.
And Ivory Coast, man, they've been on a mission these past couple of years, man.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah,
finally, man. Ivory Coast, for pretty much the entire 2010s, was so underwhelming. Dude. And this 2020s team completely undoing that. And thank goodness, because they do have the quality. Honestly, similarly to Nigeria, but they're actually doing something with it.
They're actually doing something with it, man. Congratulations to Ivory Coast. I do hope they go through. Group G has Algeria back on top with 15 points. And then in second place, Mozambique vying, trying to get that first place position. Does Algeria close it out here ultimately with the lead?
They definitely will. I saw the game today. It was actually Algeria hosting Mozambique. They both were on 12 points. So this was basically to see who could finish on top. And Algeria beat them 5-1.
Okay, there's a difference then.
There's a big gap. Big difference. Moura with a hat trick and an assist. Riyad Mahrez with 2 beautiful assists. It was a party. And Algeria are really interesting because they've been kind of mid for a couple of years, man. Yeah. They've been really mid. Very disappointing. Not making the World Cup this last time out, I think was very, very surprising considering, they had a prime Riyad Mahrez 4 years ago. But now, slowly but surely, throughout this qualification campaign, they've been getting better and better and better. They have Petkovic, the old Switzerland coach who coached.
Wow.
He was a coach for like what, 10 or like 8
Wow.
years. He's the coach of this Algerian side, and I think he's making a big difference. The fluidity is fantastic to see. Riyad Mahrez honestly looked great, man. He captaining the side, and I think he'll bring a lot of experience out on that wing. And then they have really good midfielders as well with Chaibi, Kendusi as well. So I think this Algeria side is growing into something really interesting at the perfect time. I actually have Algeria being, one of the surprise teams at the World Cup because I think they'll be able to do a lot of damage.
They have sneaky depth, bro.
Yeah.
Like, talent-wise, sure, it isn't like Morocco's level, but basically the whole squad's in Europe.
Yeah.
Basically.
Got
a couple MLS players too. That's dope. But they're all in Europe. Some are playing for bigger clubs. Some are more mid-tier clubs. But Algeria, I saw on X, people were saying that they're one of the better sneaky, deep squads going into the World Cup. I do think that's true. Amura, where does he play?
Amura plays in the Bundesliga, I think with Wolfsburg.
Nice. I need to catch an Algeria game, man, because they are a fun team to watch on the international stage. I do remember their World Cup appearance, I believe, back in 2014. That was exciting. I want to see them back here in the States.
Yeah, same, man.
Next up is Group H with the everly consistent Tunisia.
Yep.
First place, Namibia and Liberia right behind them, 12 points and 10 points. But Tunisia looking like the team that wants to win this group with a very saddening Equatorial Guinea right behind with 7.
Sad for Equatorial Guinea. You know why, though? You know why?
Because they peaked, bro.
No. Because FIFA robbed them.
Wow.
FIFA robbed them,
crazy.
bro. They got 6 points taken away from them.
Okay, well, okay, that
which
I got no counter to that.
If that didn't happen, they would be in second place.
I feel like I remember hearing about what happened.
So, and this is what's even crazier. Emilio Nsue, right, who was the Golden Boot winner of the last AFCON for Equatorial Guinea, was deemed ineligible. Like, as in FIFA said he couldn't represent Equatorial Guinea because he's Spanish.
Oh, okay, then he shouldn't.
But here's what's crazy.
What's crazy, bro?
He's been playing with Equatorial Guinea since 2013.
And they only took 6 points, bro. They should remove it from the
No,
qualifiers, man. It's illegal.
Why did they wait a decade to make the decision now?
Bro, that's crazy.
They should have done this back in 2013.
That's like me getting arrested for using a fake ID 10 years ago.
Exactly. Literally exactly.
That's crazy.
And now it's literally going to cost them a chance at playing at the World Cup with their prime squad.
So they deemed it 6 points? They said 6 points is how we're going to punish you?
So the 2 games that Nsue played, they both won those matches. So they said, all right, and not only did you not win those matches, you just lost them.
3-0?
3-0 each one.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, dude.
So they got legitimately robbed by FIFA. Robbed.
Hey, careful, bro. Careful, all right?
I just think it's crazy because you know what's even crazier? He played today.
What?
He's back.
What?
FIFA let him. They said, you know what? All right, fine. You are Equatorial Guinean. You can play officially now, but the points are still gone.
Wow, man.
Makes 0 sense.
It's just not possible. I'm looking at the situation.
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
It's not
you
possible.
win out. That's tough. You get you get what? 12 points in 4 games. I mean, it's there, but to win out is tough.
They have to win every single game, and they have to hope Namibia loses like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
But let's end this group on a positive note. Namibia. Because Namibia
undefeated
now have the chance maybe to qualify in second place. They're not going to beat Tunisia, but maybe they finish as one of the top second place finishers. Oh, yeah. The reason why I want to highlight Namibia is because their entire squad, all 23 players, play in Africa.
Dope.
They don't have a single Euro-based player or Asian-based player, nothing like that. All African-based, and specifically, they all either play in Namibia or South Africa.
Love that, man. It's like Chivas.
Yeah, basically at the international stage. It's crazy, man. So
good for them.
And so I think for them to be in second place, I think that it's a great showing for South African region football. It's so dope that they're at this level. And I saw them play against Equatorial Guinea this weekend. Really tight match. There's a player, Dion Hotto, plays in South Africa. Baller. Absolute baller. So technical, so dynamic, incredibly athletic, really good pace. He's a good dribbler. He can pretty much do everything. An absolute baller. And Namibia have players like that throughout their entire squad. And I think that's what makes them really exciting. So, yes, Equatorial Guinea have this, sob story, but the good news is that Namibia might be able to represent a really unique side of Africa.
Yeah.
And I hope they continue on and finish as one of the 4 second placers.
And alongside them, perhaps one of the most historic African teams, Group I, has Ghana guiding it once again. 5 wins, 1 loss, 15 points. And in second place, Comoros. Surprised to see Mali in 4th. Did they get points taken away?
No.
Justify this one, man.
Mali are just disappointing. And I'm disappointed too, brother, because you look at Mali's peak, though it is short, man, they play dynamic football. But they just can't do it on a consistent basis. Like, they just can't. They can do it for like 2-3 games at an AFCON, and that's it. That is it. That's where it ends with Mali. And instead, Madagascar are actually doing better than them.
Good movie.
But I think Comoros deserve to be here. Comoros had a really good AFCON a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they have just really good French-based players that show out for them when they put on the national team shirt. They're a good side. Ghana are definitely the best team, though, in this group. I mean, when you have players like Kudus and Yaki Williams, for example, I just think offensively there's a massive class difference. Ghana will finish top of this group, even though it's a little tight right now. It would be cool to see Madagascar finish in second because they do have a good side, but I think Comoros would actually be the even bigger story. So I hope Comoros see out that second place finish.
Yeah, and looking at last place, Chad is the second worst team in all of African World Cup qualifying. Can you guess who's the worst one?
There's a worse one?
With the negative 28 goal differential.
No way.
And 0 points.
Eswatini.
Maybe?
Somalia?
Seychelles?
Seychelles or whatever.
Ranked 201 in FIFA's rankings. 6 losses, 2 goals scored, 30 conceded. Chad's only conceded 15.
That's not bad then.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Actually, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, but the situation is bad for Seychelles. Let's look at the best second place teams just to highlight that before we move on. Right now, Gabon is in first with 15 points. Cameroon in second with 12. Senegal in third with 12. Namibia in fourth with 12. And then there's 2 more teams with 12 points.
Oh my
God. It is going to be so tight, bro. So tight. But CAF World Cup qualifying is finally back, and it's going to be an exciting one to watch. What do you have to say?
What's even crazier is the suffering for the second place teams doesn't end, because those 4 best second placers then just go into a semifinal final. The winner has to go to the Interconfederational. They don't even get an automatic spot.
That's crazy, man.
So it just doesn't end if you finish in second place.
There's more work to be done, man.
Yeah.
More work. Lastly, let's move on to the beautiful CONCACAF, where we have 6 total teams qualifying out of 3 already secured, with my beautiful Mexico, the United States of America, and Canada. Let's clap it up. They've qualified. They've done the job. They've qualified. The second round of World Cup qualifying will continue in June 2025. We did not see any action happen this international break. But we had some teams off to a really good start. So let's go through them. Group A, you got Honduras off to a solid start. 2 games, 2 wins. Cuba and Cayman Islands right behind them.
Yeah, this is going to be very easy for Honduras. For them, it'll be about the next phase, which is just a group stage with 4 teams.
Yes.
Second place is wide open, surprisingly, because you would hope it would be Cuba, but they're just so inconsistent, man. They are so inconsistent. It leaves room for teams like the Cayman Islands. Even Antigua and Barbuda, I might give them a slight chance. Bermuda have known to be feisty. I think the second place spot is wide open. Honduras are winning every game, though.
Group B has the mighty Costa Rica on 6 points, Trinidad and Tobago on 4, St. Kitts and Nevis on 3. The other two teams I don't think will vie for a spot here, but mainly Trinidad and Tobago and St. Kitts and Nevis will be fighting for that second place position.
It should be Trinidad, but honestly, kind of like Cuba, they just have not been consistent, and there's a chance that they don't go through. They should finish in second. First place will be Costa Rica, obviously.
No, they have to.
Did you see who Costa Rica's coach is, by the way?
Miguel Herrera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I just guessed that. I really just guessed that.
Coach of Mexico in 2014. Honestly, legendary coaching performance, because going into that World Cup, Mexico were not in a good place. And now he's coaching Costa Rica, trying to get them to a World Cup. What's your thoughts on a Mexican, like a true Mexican coach in Costa Rica?
I think this might be what they need, which is crazy. Because it's a motivator. It's a guy that can hype the guys up. It's a guy that can maximize players. Fuck it. See what the Miguel Herrera experiment can get you. And maybe it's a spot in the World Cup as one of the final 3 teams in CONCACAF.
And then in Group C, it should be Curaçao and Haiti. I think very clearly. St. Lucia, Aruba, and Barbados, I think, are massively...
Yeah, it's like a touristic group, bro. Dope places to go.
Oh, yeah. It'd be dope. Aruba, Barbados. But, yeah, it's just completely under the level of Haiti and Curaçao.
Curaçao would be dope, man. They'd be really dope in the next round.
They'll have a lot of work to do in the next round. Yeah. They'll have a lot of work to do in the next round. But this round, I think, will be easy for both.
Group D, Nicaragua and Panama vying for first place.
Yeah, I mean, also kind of similar to the last group, this should be easily Nicaragua and Panama's, where Nicaragua will get tested will be the next group. And for Panama, it's just about maintaining that consistency that they've established over the last 2 years. I don't have any problems with Panama going through.
They should top this group, though.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like, they should be able to beat Nicaragua.
Yeah, they should. Group E has Guatemala, Jamaica, Dominican Republic as the main 3 teams here. But Guatemala, man, off to a great start. 2 wins, 9 goals scored, 0 goals conceded. Guatemala's a team to watch in the build-up to the World Cup. I think they're running that edge, maybe getting that 3rd spot or maybe falling right off of it. These results are really, really important for them. A team to watch as we progress to the World Cup.
Yeah, and honestly, same with Jamaica. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've just underwhelmed year after year. They can't figure it out, though they do have the players. I see both of them topping this group. I think where the do-or-die situations will come to play will be in that next phase. Can Guatemala actually show up when the games truly matter? Beating Dominican Republic, Dominican, British Virgin Islands, Guatemala can do that. Mm-hmm. But can Guatemala beat Panama? Can they beat Costa Rica?
I don't think so.
Honestly, maybe even
Honduras?
Right, like Honduras, exactly. That's where I really want to see this Guatemala side show out. Because they haven't. In at least the last 10 years, they haven't been able to get past that Central American level. This group, I think they'll be fine. I'll be curious to see what they do in the next phase.
Group F, lastly, has Suriname in first, Puerto Rico in second, El Salvador in third with 4 points. Quite the interesting group here as El Salvador tries to find their way into the World Cup and what's a golden opportunity for them here with 3 teams already qualified. Can El Salvador do it? Or are we going to see a team like Puerto Rico or Suriname progress and ultimately kick them out?
Dude, it'd be crazy if Puerto Rico overcome El Salvador. Simply from the perspective that Puerto Rico have never gotten far in any qualification campaign, man. And El Salvador obviously have been just getting worse and worse and worse since 2022. Mm-hmm. This would be a huge one for Puerto Rico. They already played El Salvador. They tied them, I believe. So this would be crazy. It's there. It's right there. Now it just basically comes down to who can play against Suriname better. What an opportunity for the island of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this is one of the more fun things to watch for because I do know there's a big El Salvadorian contingent that watches the show and is present here in the U.S. I would like to see them at the World Cup, but man, the story of El Salvador is a sad one.
Yeah, it's just not good.
It is a sad one. It's not good when I don't suggest you investigate it, man, because it will depress you what this team could have achieved and ultimately didn't, man.
Yeah.
And I worry that story is going to continue.
It might get worse.
It might get worse.
It might get worse.
Because getting kicked out by Puerto Rico, bro.
Bad. Really bad. And it's very possible at this point.
Don't want to see that. Any concluding World Cup qualifying thoughts as we take in all the action that happened this past week and try to go through it? Any final thoughts on World Cup qualifying?
I'm just interested to see a 48-team World Cup, man. We keep hearing that number, 48. We've known about it for a long time. But what does it really look like? Is the group stage more straightforward? Like, is that what that means? And inversely, does it mean a more chaotic knockout stage? Like, do we see bigger upsets earlier on because a feisty team from the group stage gets lucky one time in the round of 32? Like, is that what that means? Or is it just more games to the inevitable final 8 that we always see? I really do wonder, because like, I could understand a 4-team expansion, even an 8-team expansion. Like, a 40-team World Cup sounds normal to me. 48, that's an insane expansion of a tournament. So I'm curious to see what these 16 new teams are going to bring. That's what really comes to mind when I see all of these teams, because I mean, bro, we're entertaining Indonesia being at the World Cup. Realistically entertaining them. We're entertaining Namibia going to a World Cup.
That's true. We've
never come close to something like that. So I just want to see what that ultimately comes down to. All it means is more of the beautiful game. That's what I'm really excited about. And maybe we'll get to see something crazy like Jordan, I don't know, beating Colombia in a round of 32, because I think that's possible. And that's what gets me really excited about this big expansion. I just want to know what it'll all mean come that last day of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But because we're starting to really get amped up and see all of these teams qualify. And dude, come the end of the year in 2025, we're going to have pretty much like 90% of the teams qualified. It's going to be crazy.
And unfortunately, Georgia won't be one of them.
Dude, unfortunately, man. Damn it.
Kills me, man. It kills me. What I actually want to say about what I think about World Cup qualifying, not even World Cup qualifying, but the World Cup, I'm losing sleep in the best way after being up on my computer and looking at the Wikipedia page and really going through it. Mexico 5 games in a row at the Estadio Azteca.
Right.
I'm losing sleep, bro. I'm thinking semifinal run here.
You need it, bro. If Mexico top their group, they play 5 straight games in Mexico.
We need that. If we top our group, that's important. That's an insane thing you're offering me.
Yeah.
Football is offering me.
The path is there. You can see the path.
The path is there, and I'm losing sleep just thinking about what that path, the moments that path could give us with the team that we're trying to build. Those are my comments on the World Cup. But folks, let me know. What are your thoughts on either World Cup qualifiers or just the World Cup in general? We're like 440 days away from it now. It is getting close, and we are so excited. Comment down below your thoughts on this entire episode. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.